I watched Star Slammer featuring tight wedges, hedonistic prison guards, and an all-women's prison in space. A pre-credit sequence really sets the campy tone for this 1986 film. Some sort of space leeches are applied to the exposed back of a prisoner by an eye patch-wearing dominatrix, until a small robot chirpily announces that Torture Style B is now over, but then just as chirpily announces that Torture Style C is about to begin.
Now comes the good stuff. Torture Style C. Have fun.
Star Slammer opens with music which sounds like Indiana Jones, but just different enough to prevent any legal mess. The film is known for having several different names. From here on, it will simply be referred to as Star Slammer. One of the alternate titles, Star Slammer Adventures of Torah Part 1, suggests this is the first of a series of films, but despite a statement of intent at the end, the sequel Chain Gang Planet was never made, which leaves this as a standalone movie. But is it a sci-fi prison classic?
It gives me deep pleasure to speak to you ladies on this very special day.
There's some Star Wars vibes early on when we see a sandy planet with two suns, along with little Jawa-esque people wearing goggles and a pan on their head. These wouldn't look out of place in some of the Badlands areas the Mandalorian visits. There's also a bearded Jedi sort of fella who could just as easily look at home roaming Middle-earth. He's soon joined by a woman wearing very little, and a significant portion of what she is wearing seems tucked up into her arse, resulting in an uncomfortable-looking wedgie. She's Torah, the title character of this film, if you're watching under one of its other titles. The arrival of a fairly cool-looking vehicle mashes together the imagery of primitive with advanced tech. Funky outfits and neon pink hairdos add a slight cyberpunk feel, and remind us that there's a futuristic element to this cinematic universe, albeit an 80s vision of it.
You did well, Trigo.
The production values actually look pretty decent, definitely better than some of the acting. When the futuristic car arrived, I initially thought it was a miniature, but no, it's a full-size prop. It's actually a prop from the Logan's Run TV series. Anyway, that car is full of baddies, and they do battle with Torah, who heroically dispatches them, despite being hampered by the epic wedgie, and she eventually fights Captain Bantor. She does lose the battle to keep her cleavage contained by her meagre apparel, but she does beat Bantor, who burns his hand in the process. You can't go killing baddies without consequence, however, and a floating head sentences Torah to 7 years in a prison ship, which basically sets up the rest of the film. That pretty good production value ends at this point. The prison ship has some highlights. Some sets look alright, minimalistic and full of greeblies. I love the canteen, for example. It's well shot, and it's got a feel of Ridley Scott's Alien to it. But overall, the prison ship looks low budget, which it is. The ship interior looks great to start with. It has a Red Dwarf vibe, but eventually the cobbled together detail, wood panelling and curtains just look poor. This scene here looks like it was filmed at my local Laser Quest. I suspect the better looking sets were reused and redressed simply by adding a different coloured light. Some parts of the film look fairly impressive, but that's because this film borrows sets and more from other productions. This grotesque alien looks amazing. It was a reused prop from Douglas McKeown's The Deadly Spawn. I do love it, but the high quality prop just highlights how cheap other parts of the film look. Another superb looking alien is this dude working in the canteen dishing out slop. I don't know if this was an original creation for this film or whether it was repurposed from elsewhere, which is more likely, especially given that John Dodds, one of cinema's greatest legends of latex and special effects director on the previously mentioned Deadly Spawn, had some involvement with this film. It may be that this was a mask from another of his projects, and if you recognise it then please let me know. I've looked, but I can't find it anywhere. I've even asked on Facebook groups. And continuity error fans may rejoice in spotting that this clearly isn't the alien's arm. Anyway, Star Slammer reuses footage from several other films. In fact, whenever you see a great external spaceship or space battle scene, it's from another motion picture, such as Battle Beyond the Stars. And this cityscape is from Buck Rogers in the 25th century, featuring a Sid Dutton matte painting. I love Sid Dutton. His matte paintings and VFX have featured in many productions, including my beloved Star Trek.
Later.
Producer Jack H. Harris was also involved in the production of John Carpenter's Dark Star, and footage of Carpenter's cult classic is used here. Unlike Dark Star, which used its low budget to embrace dark sets and a claustrophobic feel, Star Slammer seems to want us to believe that there's more space and more people out of shot, but there's no plausibility to it, and it underwhelms. A sequence showing a wrestling match has the soundtrack of a cheering crowd, but the single spectator that we see does not sell the effect. There's a sense with long takes that a single camera is moving through a room, and cast members are waiting for their cue, waiting for their turn to perform. It makes it look cheap, almost like it was being broadcast live, and there was no opportunity to edit it tighter or combine several takes. A lot of the lines don't really have any narrative contribution, as though it was written as they went along with no cohesive framework or storyboard. Reactions to things are jarringly mistimed. Check out this response to a projectile explosion. Acting is wooden or simply out of place. Over-the-top delivery and reactions which feel like a read-through rather than the main take. I'm not blaming the acting talent here, as the film feels disjointed, and it was probably not easy to get into character when there's very little to get into.
Ladies, come out, wherever you are.
The script is just bad. Director Fred Olen Ray is a prolific filmmaker churning out low-end movies.
Marker.
This isn't a great film, but it has to be said that Ray's directing is actually good. It's a combination of poor story and toothless editing, which lets the film down more. Lingering too long, not cutting enough out, too much padding.
Find the son of a bitch!
There are so many scenes and reaction shots which feel like they contain superfluous footage. Tighter editing would instantly dial up the overall quality of the film. The film is divided into chapters which feels unnecessary, but that may have been an attempt to try and inject some sort of narrative thread to a film which otherwise has none. The small cast of prisoners don't stand out other than Sandy Brooker's Torah. In fact, my main thought whilst watching them was that one of the characters looked quite like the Mirror Universe version of Kira Nerys from Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
I will make you my example. Is that clear?
I told you I love Star Trek.
Spock, you're alive.
Obviously, Captain.
As for the prison staff, they are over the top. If the film had a consistently camp feel, then it would work, but it doesn't, so it doesn't.
Flying scumbucket! Where is he?
I'm never sure if the authoritarian females are meant to be sexy dominatrices or comedy villains.
Any dissension among the prisoners will be dealt with severely. All punishment will be final.
This warden looks like her costume is the result of a Taskmaster challenge to create an outfit out of cling film tape and kitchen implements. Ross Hagen as Bantor is fun to watch. It's a scenery-chewing sort of role, and he has the charisma to carry it off.
Fire, damn you, fire!
He makes his over-the-top outfits, which are actually pretty good, look somehow fitting. Those outfits, by the way, are from Charles Band's 1983 sci-fi western, Metal Storm, The Destruction of Jared Sin. John Carradine inexplicably appears in the film. This American acting legend plays the judge, and he appears for only 25 seconds and looks like he's reading his lines. It was probably a quick one-take wonder for Carradine, whose name perhaps gave the film a bit of attention.
For these acts of insanity, I sentence you to the prison ship Vehemence.
Ultimately, this is a film which follows standard tropes of new inmate arrives in prison with evil staff, has rivalry with the existing top dog and eventually realises they have more in common and tries to escape. The film hinges on the belief that the female inmates are victims of the sadistic staff at the prison. But the camp performances make it feel a bit of a pantomime, so there's no actual drama. There's no cohesive plot, and the script is less substantial than the skimpy outfits. There's enough to make this a fun watch for B-movie fans, but not enough good stuff, be it comedy, grit, violence, etc., to recommend this as a classic cult title. The film doesn't really seem to know what it is. It's not a cult low-budget sci-fi flick like Dark Star, it's not a career launchpad, even those wanting to see titillating scenes from an exploitation women's prison movie are best looking elsewhere. It's not gritty or dramatic, it's childish at times and much more tame than you'd expect. It feels like Fred Olen Ray had access to a soundstage, third-party footage, sets and props, plus a few women who weren't actors, and thought, well, why not? Reusing sets and props, low budgets and campness can make for a great movie, but not here. It actually doesn't look bad, and I think the third-party sets, props, costumes, footage and all that sort of thing are utilised well. The biggest crime against film that Star Slammer is guilty of is that it's just not interesting. It's a background watch. Goodbye.